What Energy Secretary Chris Wright said on this program about ending windmill projects. Roll it.
Getting rid of the subsidies, as was done in the One Big Beautiful Bill, this will ultimately lead likely to the end of wind power. And there's growing pushback from communities against wind power as well, whether it's in rural farmlands or coastal communities. Wind just takes a lot of land, a lot of visual perspective. It produces a relatively low value source of electricity because you don't know when the wind's going to blow and when the wind's going to stop. Subsidies have driven its rapid growth, and the end of subsidies will probably lead to the shrinkage of wind power.
ClimateDepot.com executive editor Mark Morano joins me now. Well, the energy secretary is a very polite man. I would go a little bit further. I would say it is a scam. It was presented to communities all around the country, these windmills. I was talking about my home in Cape Cod, where a lot of money and a lot of promises were being made about how cheap it was going to be for energy after the windmills got operational. Didn't happen. And I think it was more of a scam than anything else. What do you make of the windmill disaster that we've seen so far?
It was the largest virtue signal. That, along with solar and wind, combined, they're only less than 4% of our total energy. Combined, they're less than 14% of our electrical grid, despite all of the subsidies, all of the mandates, all the bans and regulations on their competition. And they're not green. Windmills, to make a wind turbine, you need steel, cement, non-renewable plastics, all pounded in, coming chiefly from China, shipped over on diesel, and then transported in the U.S. It was the biggest waste of resources for the United States. Domestic energy, fossil fuels are the greatest national security.
And by the way, it's happened
assets.
before. It happened during the Obama administration, too. We saw the same false promises about windmills back then. All right, I want to slip another question in for EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, calling out the Biden administration for regulations that strangled the economy. Listen.
You are scaling back the broad kind of regulatory authority that this agency has historically had.
A lot of regulations in the Biden EPA in 2023 and 2024 were essentially deciding between either protecting the environment or growing the economy. There's like a binary choice. If we want to protect the environment, we have to strangulate the economy. We need electric vehicle mandates. We need to put the coal industry out of existence. It was an approach to regulation that wasn't voted on, and the American public revolted against that last November.
Mark, is it that simple? Was it a binary choice under Biden?
Yes, they actually looked at it that way. Everything was about the virtue signal for the clean energy, which wasn't actually clean and didn't actually produce any real energy. So this is really simple here. What EPA's Lee Zeldin has done, he's become the most consequential EPA chief in the history of the agency, going back to its creation in Richard Nixon. And the Trump administration, in the first 6 months, has had the most oil and gas production ever in U.S. history, breaking all records. 200 actions to free up energy in 200 days, according to a new report by the American Energy Alliance. This has been just phenomenal to watch. I've been on these issues since 1992 with the Rio Earth Summit, UN's treaty. And I can tell you right now, this is unprecedented. They're going for permanence in this agenda. Unlike Trump 1.0, where it was reversed within a few months of Biden, they're looking to make it harder for a future President Gavin Newsom or President AOC to reverse all this.
What a thought, Mark Morano. Thank you very much for that. I'll have a couple of nightmares tonight. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks very much. Well, a new land